Today, the Bluecoats are known as one of the premier drum corps in the activity, but the path to excellence had its starts and stops. While the corps simultaneously today enjoys being emulated as one of the top artistic, competitive, and organizational models for the drum corps community, its emergence to national acclaim happened rapidly a long time ago. In 1981, the Bluecoats were operating on a shoestring budget and were primarily a part-time drum corps organization. Canton area businessman Ted Swaldo was introduced into the corps when his son wanted to take his marching band skills to the next level and participate in drum corps. Little did he realize that his business management skills would soon be tapped to take over leadership of the corps, and it would put the corps on a fast track to success rarely seen in the drum corps activity. Within 6 years, the corps from Canton would go from being relatively unknown to one of the activity's fan favorites, but also widely emulated for its business practices.
Well, I knew nothing about drum corps in 1981, and my son had gone to an Innovation of Brass show at Fawcett Stadium in Canton. He came home and announced to his parents that, oh, by the way, I'm going to be marching this drum corps and traveling the United States next year. And so I went to the Boys Club, as we called it, the Babe Stern Community Center, and went there to see what was going on and get more information. So I understood what my son was wanting to do. But I went there and I watched kids out there working really, really hard, marching in this hot sun, hours, repeating things. And it really impressed me that this was a lot more than just music and marching.
After a rapid rise in the 1970s, the corps faced financial duress and went inactive for a year in 1979. 3 seasons later, the corps was in a similar place. After a little over a decade, Bluecoats was experiencing organizational exhaustion. There were always lofty goals, but the administrative team lacked a business plan on how to achieve and sustain those goals. The few who had worked so hard for so long had put in all they could.
Tom Giacomitti's stepped away, and they had new people in a new location. I think it was called Galen Hall in Massillon or whatever it was. It was a rundown, disgusting old grade school building. And so everything pretty much was clearly going downhill during that time. And we fought really hard to keep it together throughout 82, because I think the age of the leadership was what was a big part of it. Giacomitti's was tired, and he was looking for somebody to hand it off to. And it just, faded to black pretty much at that point.
Ted Swaldo stepped in, having been asked to handle operations for just a year. A year turned into 2, then 3, then quickly a decade passed. While the goal for the first year in 1984 looked to simply field a corps and make it through the season, Swaldo was laying foundational stones for the long run. The goal of making top 25 was challenging but realistic. It was also financially prudent, as top 25 corps received payments for performing in DCI shows each summer. The first rehearsal under Ted Swaldo was less than ideal.
And so when I was approached by the former director, and he said, I need you for 1 year. He said, I'd like to have you come and organize the thing, get it on the field. All you have to do is get the corps back together. But I have to tell you, the first camp I went to, and we only had 12 kids show up. We played basketball, by the way. And we ended up that they were the right 12, because I told them, look, I've done everything I know how to get members. If you want this corps, each one of you bring 2 people at the next camp. And lo and behold, they did. And we just kept growing. So we had a sizable number for the first year.
Well, I was playing basketball with them. Can we befriend these kids to the point where they want to come back and they had fun and they see what we were hoping for, and are they willing to bring a friend?
That's when we really started to rely on the members themselves to be our best recruiters. And so we went from that basketball story to turned out to be a positive experience for them. And we said, hey, bring 2 or 3 or 10 of your closest friends back with you to the next one. And they did. And so we were able to just gradually continue to grow the corps.
That's what the organization needed at that time. It needed Ted to build a business foundation, and it needed us to be that passionate tie to the history of the organization, to not let it go down again.
Bluecoats' 1984 season was a success, regardless of the final placement. The Corps fielded a good show with a sizable membership, successfully toured the country, and returned home without upsetting the long-term financial picture. The 1985 season saw the Corps grow in all aspects, including its financial footing, but ultimately missed top 25 again. For the 1986 season, Ted reached out for help in getting the Corps over the competitive hump. He was advised to reach out to Larry Hirschman, who had extensive experience in the senior Corps world developing top-caliber programs.
I realized I needed somebody who understood the activity, who could bring that dimension to us that we needed.
Yeah, and that was it. I did a lot of business in Canton. So Ted said, well, look, just can you come do what you do and let me do what I do, and we'll see if we can make something happen.
It was a good partnership. It really was. I'd never asked Larry to fix a bus, and he never asked me to teach drill.
The new infusion of staff led to changes in the approach the Corps was taking. Attention to detail and the pursuit of perfection led to long hours of repetition of basics. Members would buy into the approach, but it led to some long rehearsals.
Brass caption head I brought in, Dave Rohr. I think he tells the story. It was about an hour and a half of the first rehearsal on the first day to get the horn line to play a note in tune together.
The infusion certainly was Larry Hirschman himself. When he came in to that very first camp that we would have held at the beginning of the '86 season, he came with a level of organization for which we were unaccustomed.
It was an obvious step of growth. I always tried to stay in there close to the kids because I wanted them feel valued by the staff in a personal way.
For those of us who were teaching at the time, the Bluecoats were the best corps we'd ever been in. And so Larry was able to bring an organization to all of that, to organize the rehearsals, not just start at 1 and end at 5, but to actually have a plan, an organized plan for putting the tour together, because he and Ted spoke the same language. They both had the business background. Ted had no musical background, Ted had no drum corps background, but they both had a business background, and they brought that business background and spoke the same language. And because they did, it was apparent right away how things were going to run differently.
Off the field, the Corps was rapidly looking bigger and more professional. Pounding the pavement for corporate support and initiating new fundraising ideas, the Corps was able to purchase its first chuck truck to better feed the kids on the road. The Corps was growing beyond the competitive side.
It was behind the scenes we improved. We were running on a budget of about $80,000 a year against people who were spending, $500,000, $1 million. And I'm telling you, it was the people behind the scenes really stepped up. And the people that sold souvenirs, the people who did the cooking and made uniforms and flags. And, I remember work parties at my house where we had, 5 women over there sewing flags. We really had a growing strength from inside.
By season's end, Bluecoats blew well past the goal of making top 25, landing 10 spots higher than the threshold and knocking on the door for the top 12, a goal few thought possible just a few years earlier when the Corps closed its door for a second time. For the 1987 season, bigger and better programming was planned, and a winter decision was made on a song to play that would forever change the path of the organization.
We were listening to a number of things. Recording was from the Stan Mark Big Band. It was his arrangement of it, and we had that recording. Autumn Leaves was there. It was on day 1. I don't know that there was anybody that didn't say yes after we heard the first thing.
Yeah, because we were listening to all these other tunes, and this went on for hours, and that's how it would go through. And we got to that tune, it was like, wow, okay, that works.
And it had the slow parts, it had the up-tempo parts, it had the places that were built in for drumming. It had some of the, because Stan Mark was a high note guy, and we had high note kids at that time. We had a nice group of high note kids that could handle that kind of stuff. We were looking for the big band jazz, and the big band jazz it was.
It stood out so strong. It was like, yes, we'll take that.
Right out of the gates, the Corps shook the drum corps activity as Bluecoats topped longtime DCI finalist Phantom Regiment on opening night, and it certainly didn't take long for fans to fall in love with Autumn Leaves. By season's end, the Corps had won prelims at the beginning of DCI Championship Week, and the next day, when the top 12 were added into the competitive mix, the Bluecoats almost broke the activity. In a semifinal show for the ages, Bluecoats not only made top 12 for the first time, but came within 0.5 of a point from landing in 7th place.
Honestly, it's probably one of my top 5 moments in my life was semifinals. I mean, we were absolutely on fire that night. I mean, we totally peaked at the right time. Just the energy from the field to the stands and back and forth it was off the charts. I mean, it is an absolute treasure for me and my drum corps experience and my Bluecoat experience.
An amazing thing. And from where we came, I stand up there in the crowd with the rest of the staff, just being engulfed by the crowd at semifinals and finals. It was just outrageous. And then it just was a culmination of many years of a lot of sweat and a lot of love and a lot of friendships to get to that point.
It's not easy to maintain top 12 status. The 1988 Bluecoats took that challenge on and started the season out on fire, picking right up where they left off in 1987. But by season's end, the Corps had settled back into 11th place, and while maintaining fan favorite status, competitively, the year ended with less energy than it began. 1989 would bring change, lots of it.
We had established ourselves in 87 and 88 with that trajectory from 15th to 11th, and that in order to make yet another jump, other changes had to be made. It had to brighten up the field. We had to do something fresh yet, and we knew that bringing in people who understood color, people who understood contrast, people who understood design. So it was just time for us to have our own stable of instructors and designers that rather than borrowing from other people.
The end result of the 1989 season saw the Corps finish 8th with a Corps best final score while landing the horn line inside of top 6, beating the cadets in brass. And as they had done each year previously, the fans in the stands firmly held Bluecoats as a favorite. It's challenging for a Corps to maintain their competitive standing in changing design teams and instructional staff and funding new uniforms. But to add investing in new vehicles and expanding preseason rehearsals and the distance the Corps would tour adds new elements of disruption. For where the Corps had come from its inception, how it struggled after going inactive twice, the success of the 1989 season is a tribute to the grit and determination of management, staff, volunteers, and membership. It set a tone that would continue on in the next decade and beyond.
Yeah, well, we ended up that we were improving our ability to tour, because now we were saying, at the beginning we were a weekend tour. We'd go on a weekend, come back home, and then go out the next weekend. And as the demand to be on the road more required us to be more professional, have better road equipment. I remember the trip out to Kansas City when the wheel came off the bus. I actually came back after that and told I'm not going anymore. That's it, I'm done, unless we get new buses. And then at the same time, we built the food truck and we built the equipment trailer and all that. And those things we were improving back behind the scenes as Larry was taking care of improving the staffing and the people that we had.
And those business principles that were started in the 1980s are still a strong part of the organizational philosophy today.
From the business perspective, we're paying our bills. We have a strong board of directors. We have a strong executive team. But remember, back in the 70s, 80s, and 90s, drum corps were dropping by the wayside because they were using next year's money to pay last year's bills, and it finally caught up to them. Or they were trying to run a 501c3 out of cardboard boxes in their garage. And Ted and Larry guided us to running things like a business. And there would be the kinds of things that would show that we were in the black when we needed to be in the black, and that we could afford to do the things that we needed to afford to do. And that we could get the support from the community for things like new buses or a new truck or new uniforms, and that we would not spend ourselves into oblivion just to try to remain competitive. We never spent ourselves into oblivion to remain competitive. We always make sure that the business could survive no matter what happened to the competition. And I think we've proved that over and over again. So that's certainly a huge thing that Ted and Larry instilled in us that we still do today, is the strength of the business.
In the history of the activity, for a corps to come back from folding and jump from outside of the top 25 to the middle of the top 12 pack in just 6 years is unparalleled. Competition aside, that an organization could weather not one, but 2 inactive seasons within 5 years and emerge a decade later as a management model is equally unprecedented. From on the field to behind the stands in the parking lot, leadership and dedicated personnel, both instructional and support, fueled Bluecoats' rapid rise to the national scene as a drum corps to be emulated from an artistic and organizational powerhouse. The foundation was laid in the 80s, and over the next 2 decades, the corps would rise to even greater heights.